All right. Morning, guys. Quick sound check. Sound check 1, 2. We should be good to go. All right, we got about a minute 25 here until the bell. Now live on your channel. I put the game plan and everything together last night in the free nightly video. But essentially, we're going to look to see if we can't hold this 25,400 area here and let that be our guide to the upside today. I'm going to be rather slow, rather patient here to initially kick off. Yikes. All right. All right, NASDAQ pulled back. Nice little test here of that 400.50 level. The main thing I'm really trying to pay attention to here is going to be Tesla. NASDAQ with a nice rip though. I'm making sound, right? Good morning. Good morning. We traded right back to the level here on NASDAQ and in the Russell so far. Again, my big focus at the moment is still just on this Tesla position. And I kind of want to see NVIDIA. NVIDIA might have that room today. They can get up through here. Does it decide to run is the question. Rejecting so far off that 192.84s. NASDAQ initially tried to get a little bit of a run there, kind of pulling back some now. Tesla, on the other hand, here does not seem like it cares. The next level above would be 450.31s. I don't know that we can quite expect to get that far, but this is the thing I was slightly cautious on here this morning in the NASDAQ. Excuse me. Is we got that first initial little kind of pop there, 50, 60 points, and then we're coming right back down into that 400.50s. And the question is, like, what do we do from there? So I just want to be a little bit more patient with that. Holy shnikes. These Tesla 442 halves, they just traded $1 there on that push. Like I said, we still got a little bit of room here. 439.82s left to go. I think I'm done now. S&P is one tick front run. NASDAQ back under that level now. Again, I don't think the Tesla is going to care. You listening in, Osborne? Oh, you swung the 445s? Nice. NVIDIA coming back up here. I like this daily like 1, 2, 3 type of look here for NVIDIA and all the things, but I want to be a little bit more confident in this entry. Which I don't think I am at the moment. The Dow's managing to hold. Shouldn't really come as much of a surprise in there. We are right at the level as well. I'm going to try a little bit of Dow here. See if we can't hold this opening print. The level's like right in through here as well. I don't love what everything else is doing at the moment. And there is again a high I don't even know if high is the right word. There is a probability that we fail. But I have learned to trust the Tao. I'm giving this about 25 points here, kind of down into like 470 is my stop loss. My thinking is that if we can pop up to yesterday's highs, that's good for like, 120 points, give or take, with roughly a 25-point stop. I'm looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of like 4 to 5 R's on this trade here. So we'll see if that wants to work out. I like the Dow a little bit better than I think the other indices at the moment. I have a feeling if we do fail today, it's going to be rather ugly for a lot of people. I don't love that pop either. Just traded 532s there in the Dow. Okay. Okay. There's no good. I don't love the topping tail action I'm seeing in the S&Ps and NASDAQ here. Dow's still trying to fight it. Meanwhile, Russell getting new lows. I think if we can see the Dow start to make this move, and maybe the rest of these other markets will try and kind of figure themselves out. Apple fairly strong though. Let's see here. Yeah, it's ugly move in Shopify. That's not the 2-minute chart we want to see out of the Dow. Especially not if we're long. We can still hold and rally, then we'll be fine. At the moment, it hasn't failed. But I would not be surprised. No, I didn't sell any Tesla yet. I was kind of thinking about adding back to Tesla, or not adding back, but adding more to Tesla. If we can get these markets to cooperate. But I also really like Nvidia. I like that daily in there a lot. And Dow came down to 70. All right. We'll flat the Dow. It lost about 26 points. 26 points. Making new lows there. I'm going to grab some Nvidia. 0 DTEs. I want some of these 200s for 5 cents. And I got some of the 197 halves as well. Both are sized for 0. AMD with a big strong push there. You could also look at Dow longs again here with stops under 440s. It's about 50 points. It's a little wider than I would like it to be, and I don't fully trust indices and all yet, but I do really like Nvidia. I think that has the potential for that move to like 202s that we were talking about from Monday. It's pretty much prime for it, I think, at this point. So, what a dick of a market move, though. You go 50 points beneath the level. Got to get the Dow to get a new low after being the stronger market. Now get back over the level. Russell's still kind of lagging down there, though. One, 366. We didn't break that yet. Yeah, okay. Now NASDAQ right back under. What is that? Oh, I guess I could take this off the Tesla chart. A little easier to see. 436.35s. I'm gonna go ahead and create an alert for a new high break in there. Nvidia is coming back down. AMD rally. This is a little bit of a funky open. I can't say that I love it. Russell is not a fan though. Tesla here, I think, wants to pop. Russell and Dow trying to tell us something? I kind of want to ignore what I think they're telling us at the moment, though, just for Nvidia and Tesla. But this was the caution that I had for middle of the week here, was that we essentially could fail and roll back over. I don't know that I see that yet out of NASDAQ. I kind of see it out of Russell and Dow, but I don't quite see it yet in NASDAQ. Yeah, you guys heard that new T.I. song yet? Let them know. That's fire, right? No balls in the trap. Oh, he still got it for sure. That shit's got just that old school 2000s beat to it. Apple is strong. I don't know what it's doing, but I don't know what to do with Apple. It's got some strength. I don't trust markets entirely here just yet, and I think that's totally fine. Like we took a loss on the Dow, 25, 26 points. I'm not too concerned by that. But I don't want to do the thing I said last night, which was just continue to buy this even though we're now like clearly in some type of downtrend here. But if markets do turn around somehow, this Apple is going to move, I think. I don't know what to do with it here, though. I also kind of think the same thing about Tesla and Nvidia if it can get up over the level. Little pop and failure there. I honestly could go back to bed. Like this is the only thing, like if we think markets fail, which we're currently, yes, I get it, we're under that 400 level here for NASDAQ. We just broke, pop new lows here. Across the board, everything but the Dow, but Dow is also under that 500 level. The problem is, like, if we think we fail, we essentially just have room, like, back down to, like, 595s, like 20 points lower for QQQ. Well, I guess NASDAQ's a little closer to that now. Which gives us room to, like, 24.4. That's like 800 points lower for NASDAQ. I don't know that I see us going 800 points lower at the moment. I'm not saying it's impossible. But it'd be super hard to play for that, I think. I guess if we wanted some insurance, it's like QQQ 605 puts are like 22 cents. Problem is, yeah. Again, if we do fail, there's a lot of room. Do I think we're getting back to 595s? I don't know. That would be today would be a wild day if that was to happen. 600 calls or 600 puts are like 7-8 cents. That'd be a big move. I think if you want some just protection in general, I don't think that those are a bad option. Like 605s, 600s, anywhere down there, I don't think is necessarily. I don't think it makes a difference. Like if we do end up cracking, then there's a lot of room we can fall. I just don't know if I see it today. I guess you could do a little pairs trade. Probably not terrible. A little Apple long and some Q puts maybe to hedge it. Doesn't really cut a ton of risk off either way, but kind of poor management letting this Tesla come all the way back though. These contracts are now back to 18 cents. They were up over $1. Doesn't feel great, but I don't know. I think if you want a little bit of Qs on 605, 600s, again, it probably doesn't matter realistically. If we do make the move, then it's gonna be fine either way. Let's see pricing real quick. Yeah, so 605s are like 30 cents. 600s are 10 cents. I wouldn't necessarily blame you for either of those. At the same time, I wouldn't also blame you for wanting to try Apple longs. It's just in the face of all this, is that the position we really want to put on? It might work, probably works. Considering it's not really carrying, NASDAQ just dropped, 150 points. Nvidia's a dud. Well, anybody watch the free nightly video? I got it put up kind of late, but yeah, I know. That's all the way back. Oh, sweet. Okay. Um, no, I think I'm gonna hold off on fresh longs. The Russell getting this move is not. I'm just watching the four indices here, and it's like, all right, S&Ps are up 0.16, Nasdaq's up 0.21. Russell here is down 0.52, and the Dow is about to be unchanged here. So I'm leaning more towards like that potential failure, like I talked about. But it's also a spot where we could see that kind of leadership change. And it's like, all right, yeah, we're going to pull back a little bit, meaning S&P and NASDAQ, but we're not going to get completely crushed. We're going to leave that up to, the Russell Dow. At the same time, I can't I literally can't help but look at Apple and just see the strength that's in there. I really like the pattern that's kind of shaping up in there. The degen in me wants to put something on, but the market's doing what it's doing. And it's like, we can probably wait on doing anything there. So let's just hold off for now. There's no technical like entry. It just has insane strength right here. And it's like, okay, at some point, if NASDAQ even gets a 50-point bounce, this thing probably goes to new highs on the day. And if we can get to 279.30s, then we're pretty much, we get into wide open territory for a move to like 287s. And next week is OPEX in there. That's interesting. The 290 calls for next week, which would essentially be right at like new highs. They're like 37 cents. But if we were to go to 300 bucks, those go to $10. You want to see if market dies first, I think. That I think is the immediate decision. Is anybody short NASDAQ or anything? The Dow's back down to this 249. I kind of think we're going to get absolutely smoked. But such a weird sell-off so far. I mean, VIX is exploding. VIX is exploding to the upside here. But the fact that we're minus 357 on a tick reading right now, and market is getting the just steady selling pressure that it is a little concerning, because like what happens when we do get to like minus 1200 ticks? Actually, I tell you what, when we get to minus 1200 ticks, we probably buy some Apple. That's a pretty decent move down. That was minus 584 on ticks there. And that was a 80 point, 89, 90. It's a 100.5 minute bar, minus 500s on the tick. Wow, look at that. Look at old Shopify. Yo. Damn, those options are expensive. So what do we do from here? I think we try and find a way to get short and hold on. You need a big move, but the best way is probably through like some QQQ puts. The 600s are 21 cents at the moment. I don't think that's a terrible move. We're also right on lows at the moment, so could you give it a bit, see if we bounce and look for at least some sort of trigger? Sure. If you haven't done anything yet, then there's no sense in kind of rushing it, but I hate when I like am right and kind of like see the idea behind this and then it doesn't necessarily, it works the way in which you think it works, but it doesn't work in the way, doesn't set up in the way in which you think it's going to work or set up. And so it kind of like just leaves the station, so to speak. Like that's a pretty brutal like last 30 minutes worth of selling pressure. Minus 400 on ticks there. I still think we long Apple at some point, but I'm trying to. This was the move that I was, which obviously the move isn't. If it is the move, quote unquote, it's not done. Number one, and it's what I was talking about in the Sunday stock talk, which would be NASDAQ kind of gives the vibe that it could try to rally on the week and then fail back down to overnight lows from last week, which again gives us a lot of room still from here. I don't think that Apple cares. Like Apple just wants to do what it's doing at the moment. I kind of just want to go straight to like the 290s for next week in there. I think that's what I'm going to do. So Apple, $9 days to expiration, 290s, they're 43 cents. Even with market going lower, these do not, like Apple does not seem to care. I'll grab some of those. $290s next week, monthly expirations. I just can't deny this strength here at the moment. Like, yeah, I see the market. Don't get me wrong, I see the market. Um, these Q600 puts now are 30 cents. 35 cents. So those are starting to move. Like I said, whether you went with 605, 600s, I don't think it really makes a difference. If we're going to make the move, it's going to be a big move. And like big move meaning that NASDAQ could legitimately have almost 1,000-point range on the day. We bought the high tick on Apple. That's why I want to get some time in here, though. I like this from a swing perspective, especially if it closes like this on the week. What is this? Yeah, crude at 10:30. Then Netflix, Microsoft, Meta, AMD, Google, everything rather ugly here. Again, I think it's going to take some time, but I think it would be a whole lot harder for this market to rally back from here today than it would be for us to continue this drop and go get those overnight lows and kind of make that big move. So I'm going to let it rock. We'll kind of go ahead and put an idea of where we think this goes. So crazy big target would be 587.44. Is that possible? 20 points from here in QQQ. Wow. For NASDAQ, again, we got that 495s, which is right there. Where is that low? Oh yeah, that low's 239. 75s. That would be 24,239.75s. So like 900 points from here, whatever that is. Wow, there's a lot of room still. I don't want to get too excited about that idea in general, but that's a lot of room. That'd be a lot of room. How quickly can it do it, though, is the question. Where's my DJ? Go DJ. Where's my DJ? If we had gotten a divergence at highs, I think that would have been really pretty. We unfortunately just did not get that. We didn't necessarily need it. We had the lower high off 7,000, but these charts are ugly when you look at, I mean, you look at something like Microsoft, like that's an ugly move there. I mean, we're only down 2 point something percent in there on the day. But there's some ugly looking charts. Microsoft, Netflix, Google, Meta, AMD. Apple, I think, is that protection. We can't even manage to put, I mean, this will be the first 5 minute green bar if we can hold it. I don't even know if we can. Apple with the move though. What I say, even a 50-point NASDAQ rally and Apple probably goes to new highs on the day. Just that strength is like you can't deny that strength in Apple right now. If we do somehow pull off a miracle and NASDAQ saves itself on the day, it's gonna be all on Apple. Those 290s for next week are like 58 cents here now in Apple. They're starting to make a move. NASDAQ, again, I don't think is necessarily out of the woods yet, though. So, yeah, Tesla's a little annoying. I was kind of a dick for a tick, I'll be honest. It was at 436s. We needed 439s. We're now 15 points lower, so yeah, that was unfortunate. Certainly my fault on that one for management. I don't know what's up with Apple, but it's got strength. And then we'll put you out. Nice Apple move. A really nice Apple move there. Put you out. Those 290 calls for next week now are 69 cents. NASDAQ getting the first decent little pop that it's had so far. We managed to put together 3 green bars here on a 15-minute or on a 5-minute chart over the last 15 minutes. Meanwhile, the Russell and the Dow, which were the ones that led us lower, more specifically the Russell here, they have gone virtually sideways. So I still don't think market's totally out of the woods just yet. In fact, I think we still have, it would be more surprising that we would rally this back and leave a big bottoming tail here. That would be more of a surprise than I think us making a 900-point move to go get those lows, personally. little bit more of a rally back there. NASDAQ rallying now, Apple pulling back. Like, what is this? Russell did make new lows just now in that last 5 minute bar. There's no level or anything in here though. But we did do that. I mean, we did hit that. The one thing I will say is we didn't, we never traded that 26.1830s for Russell. So we could have another, like, what is that, 40-ish point worth of drop down into 26.18s here. I think all we're seeing now at the moment, just this rally back, is a little bit of kind of reprieve bounce from that. You can see that the Russell and the Dow are staying pretty weak. So it's not going to be all that difficult, I don't think, if NASDAQ sells off 100 points and puts us right back down at lows here. What to do, what to do. I wouldn't be opposed to a futures position from a short perspective, but I think that I think we need to kind of like set this high here, give or take, call it 192s, 193s, whatever it is. And then I think, which I'm not saying that's necessarily where it's going to be, just somewhere up in here. Dow's making new lows at the moment, but just somewhere like up in here, pull back a little bit, and then kind of later, like maybe 11:30-ish, give or take, see if we can't like pop that high, whatever that is, one more time, and then roll over from there. That would be kind of the thing in which I would like/expect to see from here. But I mean, if we continue to just like push from here, like that's also, I mean, it's okay, but unless we were to get back over the open, I don't think there's any longs outside of Apple. Maybe Nvidia. If Nvidia somehow manages to get back up over 192.84s. But yeah, something like this right in through here. Find some resistance, 25-200s here, and then kind of bat around for a little bit, maybe back down to like 135s, 115s, and then pop that high one more time in just a little bit, and then go lower if that's going to be the case. A little bit more of a rally than I would have probably expected to see, with the potential for the move that we have lower. But isn't necessarily like, we're not damaging anything here. Like at the moment, market's trying to figure itself out whether it's actually going to get this big crack and break to the downside or not. Like that's essentially what's taking place here. It made this first initial move, which is rather aggressive. I mean, we got a 400-point range on the day, which is also a little upsetting that I have nothing in that. Like I was able to capture nothing out of a 400-point range on the day. But again, the big thing that at least I wanted to wait for there was a little bit of added confirmation in terms of the trend for a long, right? We were initially getting this gap up over 25 400s, and we had this big news spike, etc. So like there was valid reason for longs initially off the open. Yes, that would have worked for like 50, 60 points from that 400.50s. But I think from here, there's more of a reason to be patient to allow this to kind of figure itself out at this point now. And the last thing I really want to do is get caught up in like a trend change area. I think having some small risk, whether it's Q puts, something like that, Apple longs, for example, for like the big move, I think is totally fine. But trying to trade futures inside of this, I think might prove to be a little bit difficult. And it seems like Apple only really wants to rally when NASDAQ goes down. So I don't know how that works. But if NASDAQ could just go ahead and make a big drop and Apple make a big pop, then all is right in the world, at least for me. So Low a day here for NASDAQ, 0.58 quarters. I'm just going to set some alerts down there. Dow's making new lows. Russell's about to make new lows. Again, those were the two that were kind of leading the move this morning to the downside. So that's why I'm not getting super excited to the long side here on this rally out of NASDAQ. Like I don't think it's going to lead to any kind of complete reversal in the day. I could be wrong, right? But at the moment, we're only down 70 points on the day for NASDAQ. Very easily that could turn into, you know, down 400 or 500 points here. So I just want to sit on hands. If we do reverse, we got Apple. If we do go lower, we got a handful of Q puts. And we'll see what happens. You got some big moves today, though. I mean, these are not little moves by any means. We did pull back to like that 135 area I was talking about. Rallying back up though, which is interesting. We have the strongest name on the board at the moment for longs. So with Apple doing what it's doing, in the event NASDAQ manages to rally, which also this would be kind of crazy. I'm not saying it does happen, but if Apple was to get up through this 279.30s and somehow NASDAQ was a, what is happening with Meta? Look at that move. That's Apple pushing those 279.30s, and NASDAQ was able to make the move somehow all the way back up. It's entirely possible we could see like 287s today out of Apple. Because at that point, I would venture to say that, again, if we do manage to get back up over 25,400s here for NASDAQ, that we then would have a massive bottoming tail in on the charts, and we essentially would open the door on the day to like 25,900s, like 400 or 500 points to the upside. So if all of those things were to take place, one, it would be the biggest surprise, I think, move of the of the week, month, first quarter of the year type thing to go ahead and drop a quick 400 points and then essentially rally that back and put in a 1,000 point range to the upside. But Apple could honestly go totally freaking nuclear to the upside, which I wouldn't be mad about. What's crazy is we took a very aggressive but small risk entry into what is potentially like a 2 week type of trade with the options that we took out in the next week. And I mean, those options were 44 cents, 45 cents. When we picked those up, those are currently now printing 80 cents already. So damn near 100% on a swing trade that, yes, I was planning and sizing them for full, but they never went against us by even a penny. From a timing standpoint and entry standpoint, like all those things are pretty freaking spot on. I don't know what Meta's doing, but she is moving. That's an interesting little bottoming tail there. I actually don't mind that. That traded that 661.14s like really, really aggressively there and bouncing now. Six 1753s would be those highs. If we are going to fail and go lower, we really can't go too much further from here. Again, it doesn't matter to me either way because I can't do anything until back up over those 400s either way. But this should be the area in which if we are going to kind of stop and fail at, it didn't set up the way in which I was kind of hoping for. So I don't love that, but it turns into just a big range day, which would not be fun either. Although I am having fun with Apple, so. I grabbed just a handful of those Apple 280 calls from today in addition to my swing. They're up like basically 800% right here, which is kind of nuts. Yeah, you got those 280s too, right? Yeah. I got them at 9 cents. I'm gonna hold him. Oh, you got him at 7. Yeah, I don't know. I really like the pattern in there, so I'm just gonna leave it, honestly. If we push up through 280.91s, then it's pretty much 287s for Apple, which would realistically probably put those 290 calls that we bought, it would probably put those at like $4, 350, $4, somewhere up in that range, which would honestly, that would be crazy too, because that'd be $1,000 or 1,000% move in there from 40, basically 40 cents to $4. I don't know. I'm gonna chill on them at the moment and just let it do its thing. How's everybody doing this morning? Got good viewership. Appreciate you guys. If you could give me a like, comment, thumbs up, whatever all the things are for YouTube here, that'd be much appreciated as well. And if you have not done so, subscribe, because there's this cool little duck thing that comes on. I don't know if it works if you unsubscribe and resubscribe. I doubt it, but Meta kind of coming right back down there. No, don't do that, Apple. You unsubscribed and resubscribed. Well, I appreciate you either way for trying. It knows. It knows the game. No, Apple. Is not what I want you to do. Not at all what I want you to do. Wow, this is slowed a bunch. Oh. At what point do we... What's up, Starboy? At what point do we call it a day? Is the question. Apple's kind of hanging in there. I guess if you think markets rally back, you would assume that this turns into some sort of higher low. And then we try and trend back up towards 25 400s. Yeah, the Q puts are just essentially a protection to the downside today. I mean, again, if we do get absolutely rocked to the downside, then the Q puts come into play, right? Like they'll go from whatever the entry was, 8-10 cents, something like that, to potentially like $13. So it's like, all right, we can leave those on and let them kind of do their thing, right? I'm not necessarily too concerned by them. And when I put them on, I said I didn't want to get like too excited about the idea that we would potentially make that move, because that's basically 1,000 points lower from here in the Nasdaq. It's 239.75s, which legitimately is exactly like 1,000 points from here. What's up, ZB? We are currently long some Apple, and we are long some Q puts as a hedge. We have some Tesla positions still on, even though they were up like a few 100% at one point this morning. Kind of terrible management on my part for that one. And then we've got a little, like a tiny risk on an NVIDIA for like a 202 print today, which looked better this morning, up over 192.84s, and quickly failed. Yeah, I mean that's gonna be the question here is, does this turn into one, the move to the downside? If so, we're gonna set an hourly 1, 2, 3. We're gonna get absolutely rocked here in the next after 20 minutes to the downside, or do we completely reverse this? I would be more surprised at the reversal personally, but he said don't be a dick for a tick. Yeah, I know. Listen. Every now and then it happens. But yeah, like I said, I would be more surprised at the reversal all the way back to the upside. But again, this market's strong. It's weak, but it's strong. So it's possible. Certainly possible. The S&Ps kind of look like they want to do it. Chapter 8, Mentorship 5, yeah. Did you check out the new, like all the new stuff in WAP? Is that where you logged into? Because Mentorship 5 was your class. Oh, go log into WAP. No, just WAP.com. Here, I got you. Just use the same email and log in there. Late rain starting in 10 minutes. Looks like bulls are winning. Maybe. Maybe. Big move out of the Dow there. Imagine Tesla comes back and we get our we get our 439.82s. Be the absolute worst freaking hold ever. The risk management is just gone already in Tesla, but it would be kind of funny. Pick up the 440s. I don't think it goes back there, but it would be kind of funny. I don't know how much they are. Let me see. They're probably a nickel again. $0.04. I don't think we go there, but certainly possible. By the way, for those of you listening that are not in the Discord, that link right there will get you into the Discord for free. That's where the Sunday stock talk, those types of things all get posted. Nightly write-ups, nightly videos, and all of that in there. And there are some new things coming. I know I've teased that for like a minute, but it has been a work in progress. The Dow's actually coming back pretty decent there. A little bit more than I would have expected. Dow is also the strongest market on the board. Not percentage change wise today, but it has been the strongest market on the board. It's done like my daddy. It's done like my daddy. It's done like my daddy. Yo, Wayne. Yeah, you can see all the recordings. The Dow with a big move back, coming back up into that 250 here. Nasdaq's kind of like back towards the middle of the range. We got about 200 points to go to highs. We got about 200 points to go to lows. At the moment, we kind of look like we're trying to rally back some of that. Based on the move I'm seeing out of the Dow, which again, the Russell and the Dow were kind of the leaders to the downside this morning. I don't like I said, I don't necessarily have a way to play this to the upside outside of Apple, which we already have on. So I will let that continue to be. I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to new positions in Nvidia on the day, though. Like that is potentially something that would make sense. So yeah, I'm not opposed to that. At the moment, I'm just letting the current positions work, and it's seems to be working out in our favor at the moment. So I'm just gonna like let that continue to happen. Yeah. Oh, Nasdaq flipped it real quick. Probably should have taken a little bit of those 280s from Apple off when they were up like 800%, but it is what it is. You're all out of them. Yeah, it's probably not a bad move. They're still up like 400%. The Dow is getting rejected from that 250 area though. The selling pressure very easily could not be over. I don't disagree with you there, Maximus. What's today, Wednesday? Market's getting slow. Yeah, we can see the crack. We can see the crack for sure. I don't know, I'm kind of conflicted here. A failed 15-minute. It's probably playable, honestly. I don't know that I would necessarily try to front run the failure necessarily. Meta kind of gave all that back there. Gold looks like it wants to get that, try and get that pop up towards 52.80s. Not necessarily today specifically. So I don't think it's going to get 200 points today, but again, I'm okay with us making a move in either direction here. Whichever way we move, I would like for it to just be a big move. That's the only thing that at the end of the day really matters for me at this point. And I mean, I don't know. We've got 287.32s above for Apple. If you look out into Friday, like the 287.50s, they're 18 cents. I don't love that idea. The 285s from today are like 3 cents. I don't really know if that makes sense either. Back to about 60 cents here on that swing on those contracts. You think we rally, Shadow? And take it all back? I could see it. Yeah. I mean, I do think at a certain point NASDAQ wants that 314 that's up there. I mean, we just got really, really close and never actually traded it when we were up there last. But I don't know. I think those overnight lows have a draw to them. The move lower would be probably nicer. Yeah, the move lower is probably nicer, to be honest. Picked up some 435s in Tesla, 0 DTs. Nice. I don't blame you. I just don't know that I fully trust market yet, one way or the other. If Tesla was acting like Apple earlier, yeah, I would be more inclined to join you. I haven't done anything else from a futures perspective since that Dow earlier. Which is kind of looking. Ticks are pretty unchanged. We did lose a lot of that VIX rally that we had. I don't know. If you wanted to do anything in here, I don't think it's a bad idea to pick up like some lightning fundeds or something from Tradeify and just essentially risk the full boat for one direction or the other, whichever way you think we move. It's gonna totally screw your consistency up. But if we make a big move, it really doesn't matter, right? Took some micro longs. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I am full porting short. 3, 2, 1, go. The difficult part is like I can certainly make a good argument for either direction here. I know it sounds crazy, but for longs, I would much rather see us go ahead and get this 200-point rally and then find entries into the move, which at the moment Dow is popping, that high from like 20 minutes or so ago. It's the only index to do so at the moment. So the Dow is somehow, some way, kind of leading this rally back up just a little bit. So I don't necessarily want to. I mean, I'm not going to fight that either way. Apple really trying to get that push back up over 279.30s. The Dow's making the move. Nasdaq little topping toe. I like the Nasdaq chart. What you mean? Or the Apple chart? You don't like Apple longs? It needs higher. It is it's the strongest name on the board. What more you want out of it? We gotta get your eyes checked, sir. Yeah, I want to see it make a move. I don't necessarily care about indices unless Nasdaq's going to drop 1,000 points. That would be fun, but I would like to see Apple move. You don't think 1,000 point Nasdaq drop would be fun? Little pullback in Apple. It's probably Shadow's fault. 11:49. Probably won't stick around too much longer. I've had this CB thing on my charts as well. It has not moved at all until now. It's starting to get a little bit of rally while NASDAQ is red on the day. I've been wanting to like actually put a position, like a full size position on in here. I think it needs up over this 333s though. Amazon on lows, Microsoft on lows, Netflix on lows. Meta still trying to hold that 661, but it's coming back down here. If we lose NASDAQ, I think it's all over for most of those names. I love how UPS sends me a thing pre-arrival. Your driver is arriving soon. Bitcoin? Yeah. Bitcoin's ugly, honestly. I mean, I personally think that we're still headed towards like 42s in crypto. I don't know. There's a whole like there's this whole side of crypto and it depends like how far down the rabbit hole you want to go. But there seems to be a lot of talk and a lot of shake about people potentially thinking that Jeffrey Epstein is like the creator of Bitcoin or somehow involved behind the scenes, knew the creator, whatever the case is, right? Um, so again, depends how much of a how many layers of tinfoil do you want to put on and kind of take that leap of faith. But if it is, that's interesting. I mean, what does that mean for crypto in general, more specifically Bitcoin? Like, well, that could be bad. That could be real bad. You think Ethereum runs to 12K while Bitcoin rallies back up to 100? I don't think so, partner. I don't like. I'm all for like big moves, surprise moves. I don't think that's. I don't even know how I could make that one make sense. I mean, Ethereum's at 1900 right now, give or take. Right, just looking at the futures. Yeah, I don't know. I think Bitcoin goes to 42. That's like my. Yeah, no, they make you wonder for sure. Yeah, no, I'm looking at weekly as well. My weekly's over here on this screen when I pull up Bitcoin and Ethereum. That I mean, that's essentially where I'm kind of getting that 42 from, which is where I think we need to pull back to from a weekly chart perspective. And it might, I mean, I'm using future, so I might be a little bit off. Like, what's let me see. Like, if I pull up Trading View, let's see, Bitcoin USD launch 66,131. Oh, we're like 100 points off. 66,138's current price on here, 154. We're printing 280 on 66 280s on the future side. It's like 130 points, 140 points, something like that. It's not crazy. So 42 130. Let's call it 42 and give yourself an extra 130 bucks with the cushion. I don't know. Message? Interesting. That's on Dash. I've not traded or set alerts on Dash in a really long time. But it is cracking 175.49. That's a weak chart. DoorDash is ugly. What's that look like for Uber, Lyft? CMG announced yesterday, I think, that they're raising prices because their audience customers make too much money and can afford to pay more for a bowl. Which I'm not disagreeing with. I just think that that's the wrong way to announce that. We're going to charge more because the vast majority of our audience makes enough money to justify the increase in price. But I think it was only like 60% of their audience makes the customer base they assume makes 6 figures a year or more. So what about like you cut off 40% of people that maybe can't afford it if you raise prices? I don't know. It doesn't seem like the smartest move. Like ETH Bitcoin, like as a chart? What's the difference? ETH Bitcoin. All right, spot crypto, Binance. What you mean this? So it's 0.029. That's what you want me to look at? This looks terrible. Yeah, it looks terrible. What you mean? What am I supposed to do with this? I'm not trying to be funny, I'm just asking. Looks like it's going to 0.022. It could. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that chart, to be honest. If I was thinking the NASDAQ was going to hold and rally, like this would be kind of that area where I would be like, okay, maybe, just maybe we put some NASDAQ on down in this area. We see if it wants to hold here around 170s, give or take, and kind of let that rip from there. I'm not necessarily doing that. I'm just saying if bulls were going to have a fighting chance, at least at the moment, this is where I'd think to see that. Again, I don't necessarily know that we see that or not, but I also would not try and step in front of the potential for this thing to just drop 100 points and go get those new lows, because we're going to have that hourly 1, 2, 3 in place. We kind of did the thing I was talking about earlier and popped up here at 1126s. Those 275s. Those prior highs were 271s. So we kind of did the thing I was thinking we would do, but it just wasn't quite at the right price. Time-wise, it ended up working out. It was still right at about 1130. This shop got absolutely fried. 110.10s is where we're at now. I wish I would have seen this sooner. I saw it this morning up at like 138s, 135s in pre-market after that initial rally, and I was just like, I don't love it here. I wish I would have paid a little bit more attention to this drop though, because We didn't see it till like 115s, and those options were already expensive. That's just a really, I mean, a red to or a green to red gap that just absolutely fails. That thing's got some room. That I agree with you on. It's pretty much if Nasdaq's gonna hold, it's pretty much in here. You could also try a gold long. It's about a 7-point stop down under those 91s that we just set. I don't know what silver looks like. The gold long's probably better if silver looked a little better. Could still work though. Yeah, I don't think the gold long's a bad idea. It just depends. I mean, I think for the most part, like the 50Ks, you're talking like Apex. I mean, I guess they're all fairly consistent, whether it's Apex, Tradeify, whatever. Yeah, I mean, I think the 50Ks are fine. You know it's your favorite firm, Shadow. TBT. Yeah, yeah. So the ones that I failed the other week, those were from Take Profit. Those were 50Ks. I like I like Take Profit Trader. The one rule in which I'm not a huge fan of is once you pass, you go from end of day drawdown to intraday drawdown on like the pro account or your funded account. That is my only thing that I don't love. But the payouts are uncapped as opposed to, you know, like a 2K cap on pretty much everywhere else, whether that's Lucid, Tradeify, Apex, whatever. They're all pretty much capped, whereas Take Profit doesn't have that. So there's a give and take there. I agree with you. It would be better to keep it end of day all the way through. Is TPT capped? No, from my understanding, no. Now they can move you live, which at the moment they do have the largest live platform. Um, no, for sure. I agree with you. I would personally love to see that as well. I think if you, I think if you think longs are the way today, and you've been patiently waiting, somewhere down in here is probably it. Somewhere down in here is probably it. Yeah, no, I mean, they definitely have to keep risk management in mind for sure. I don't necessarily know that intraday drawdowns are like an effective way to manage risk, I guess. It's probably more of an effective way of managing account payouts, more so than I would say risk, in my opinion. But it also just means that you need to use a little bit smaller size until you get up through that. But I'm a big fan of just end of day drawdown in general, just because like you can put a position on and let it work. Yeah, I mean that is the one. Like with TBT, I mean they're a little bit older of a company. They've been around for a while, a little bit more established. Like the the chances of, because you can do payouts like same day, so it's like, yeah, if you go through and you pass a 50K, you drop like $100. Code MLT gets you their best deal at all times, of course, right? And then you just rack up like a quick, 10 or 20K day, which isn't necessarily easy to do either, because you're going to be dealing with the intraday drawdown at that point. Um, you know, that's a pretty bad risk reward for them. You pay me $100, I give you 10 grand or 20 grand back. Like, eh, eventually they're gonna go broke, right? Yeah, which I do like that aspect of them. Yeah, it seems like they would go broke, but again, the skill level that it would take to do that, unless you just got super, super lucky, is is tough. Yeah, what's up, Oz? Yeah, you had some good discussions going in your Discord the other week. I popped in there for a minute, was reading around. NASDAQ's starting to do potentially that little higher low type action. Gold's making a little move as well there. It's up about 10 points since I mentioned it. Take Tesla to high day. I could see it. It's just tough. It really should have traded 439s earlier today. Like, that's kind of just disappointing. I do like NVIDIA though. I think if NASDAQ makes the move, NVIDIA probably makes a really nice move as well. I gotta say though, this is getting fairly boring. We're just extracting premium from everybody at this point, I think. Apple trying to work its way back up. Let's go, Apple. Nice little NASDAQ pop there as well. CNBC Joe. Well, you're a little late to the party. CNBC Joe is watching the stream. That'd actually be kind of crazy. I remember when I used to think that like CNBC was the greatest thing ever. Like I had to have it on at all times. Like I was gonna get the news. I was gonna be able to do something with it. Yeah, it could have. It certainly could have. I don't know. I mean, yeah, my background noise today has been it has been Kevin Gates, Young Dolph, Lil Wayne. Pretty much the exact opposite of of CNBC. Oh, let's see. Nasdaq popped there to 245. It's pulling back just a little bit here. Apple looks like it still wants to make the move. Oh man, part of me really wants to just put some Apple like 285s on just for pure shits and giggles. Like, there's legitimately nothing else here. It's already 12:30 though. I'm probably better off. $295s for like a week out. Oh, let's see, let's see. I'm probably about to wrap it up and call it a day. Um, Again, I think if you think we go higher, then kind of that pullback towards that 175 area where we just came from, that's probably it. I don't mind an idea for doing something in NVIDIA later, or an additional trade in there, I should say. We have a little bit of the 200s on for a crazy move, but or be long Apple. I like Apple, obviously. We got a position in there going into next week. 287s. I might kick myself if I don't put on something, at least in these Apple like 285s for today, just on the pure chance that something goes stupid. I, I picked up a couple. They're like 3 cents a piece for the 285s. If we were to run the 287s today and I did not have those on because I didn't want to risk the 3 cents, then that would be slightly upset. But yeah, I mean, we picked the right name today at the moment so far. Like Apple has carried everything for me, at least on the day. High days 279.98. We're about to push that. NASDAQ is trying to get a little bit of like kind of a rounded bottom going here. These highs were what, 275? Yeah, 275. So we're about to push that. I can see us back up into 25 400s. I think that was that just now. Yeah, 275 quarters we pushed through. So there's probably another 120-ish points or so for NASDAQ to make that move. Looks like S&Ps and NASDAQ kind of popping those highs. Russell and Dow not quite just yet. $12.26. This is the longest we've sat at the desk all week. Apple's trying to press those highs. There's that Apple 280. Just press that. We still got to push through 280 91s. That's, I think, going to be the key. Let's go, Apple. Nvidia kind of coming back to the party now, too. You gonna put trails in your NASDAQ long there, Shadow? I don't know if market wants to continue this or not. Tesla's looking better. So is Nvidia. If my Tesla contracts could come back from the dead, I would be happy about that. Gym time. Yeah, I missed the gym so far today. Gym and sushi. Gym, cigar, and journal. Also not a bad combo. I did. I broke out the weighted vest. Whoa, what's Meta doing? I broke out the weighted vest yesterday. Did a little cardio with the weight vest. We might do the same today. We'll see. This little pullback low right here was the 71 quarters for NASDAQ. If you wanted, you could either look to see if we crack 71 quarters and get back above it real quick, or look to take it in here with stops just a couple points under that 71 quarters. It's not a bad risk reward, especially if we go back to 25 400s. You could give this thing about 15 points here, or wait for, see if 71 quarters cracks first and then put the position on. I don't think that's a terrible idea. It's not my favorite of all things, but I would like to see it happen just for Apple and Nvidia, Tesla's sake even. This would be your entry right in through here. Stops down under that 63s. Again, it's about 15 points worth of stop. You could use micros for sure for about 125 points worth of target. So yeah, I don't think it's bad. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. 12:37. I got some things to do. I don't want to force anything here. There is good risk reward there, but we've already got Apple on and some Nvidia, so I think our risk is good either way. I don't know, NASDAQ, I mean, we're trying to fight it back. Long ETH to 12K. This guy. You're calling for like a 6x move on a chart that looks really ugly at the moment, just to be clear. Like you hear, like you see that it's crazy, right? I mean, I hear you. I believe you. Yeah, not financial advice. Target for Apple. I think um, I think target's going to be 287.32s. Like there's just nothing else here. Like we get through 280.91 is the highs from last week. We get through that, or 280.90 is the high technically. We get through that, my alert's at 280.91s, and I don't see anything between that and 287s. Will it do it today? I don't know. This CB thing is trying to maybe come back from the dead. No second day earnings move in there at all. It's just been consolidating and chilling. NASDAQ here. Anybody take that? The little idea that I had there with stops under those 63s. I could see that actually turning out pretty decent. Yeah, Meta did. Whatever that news was on Meta certainly just shook it up. I don't think they're worth doing anything in there. Yeah. I was gonna say like the Meta 680s, but I don't think it's worth it. Nasdaq making that move. Close it when 340 hits. When are you gonna start making content, Shadow? Everybody's waiting. You said you want your CNBC spot. You gotta work for it. You gotta put out good, valuable Ponzi content. You should just create your own CBNC. It's the opposite. CNBC, CBNC. We should get a shadow reveal. Show pictures from like 4th grade or something. Oh yeah, send it to me. Let me see. Let me see. Wondering if NASDAQ is done. Let's see if see if Apple can finish out a little bit more of this push up over 280s here, with NASDAQ getting another little pop up into that 400 would be nice. Then I can walk away. Don't encourage him. Don't encourage him. Actually, I'm gonna track my UPS order. Is all the way over there? You could potentially, if you took that trade from right around like 73s or so, you could potentially pull stops up to break even or slightly in the money now. Anything under like 83s is probably good from a stop perspective. And it should be up about 2-ish, maybe a little over 2 Rs right now, depending on how wide you went with that stop. I don't know if anybody took that or not, but if you did, it's actually not looking too bad. Somewhere I've been at a bar on the inside. Keys to her fucking car. Then stepped away. Oh, that's unfortunate. That might be it for NASDAQ right there, 325s. We'll see. Like, I don't want to see Apple to just like take off and run. NASDAQ might be done. We were like 15 points from your target. Now we pulled back like 30. Crashed that piece of shit and then stepped away. I don't know. We traded back to 292s. Currently holding 304s. If we make another push, then I think we can probably grab it. If not, if we start cracking down under like 290s, 280s, I think that's going to be a problem. I don't know if Apple actually makes the move today or not, but she can hold steady, hold strong into tomorrow, then I'll be okay with that. Although my 285s from today will go to zero. If you did try that long, I would not overstay your welcome. Don't let this thing turn red. It was up about probably 3 hours there on that pop. It's a 325s. You could still give it the original stop if you really wanted to, down under 263s, but I probably would not, just given where we're at. But yeah. Anyways, that's what I got. I'm going to wrap the stream up. 1 o'clock. We have been live for 3 hours and 30 minutes. We had some good viewership today, though, so I appreciate you guys coming on, hanging out. And hopefully you guys caught a little something. Apple is the winner of the day for me. That makes up for the Dow. Makes up for a lot, actually. So I am more than okay with a move in Apple. And we still have the swing potential in there with that position on as well. So obviously that could work in against us as well if NASDAQ decides to take a dump. But I think the strength in Apple is pretty apparent there. So as long as NASDAQ doesn't die, then I think we'll be fine. So anyways, that's what I got. As always, if you need me, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, appreciate you guys' support. Code MLT at all your favorite prop firms. Apex, Shadow's favorite, Tradeify, Lucid, Top One, and Take Profit Trader. Those are the 5 that I have a relationship with and that I like and use and trust. So yeah. Anyways, that's what I got. I will see you guys tomorrow. Yeah, today's only Wednesday. All right, guys. Peace.